Alrighty guys, in today's video, I want to do a thermal test with the new iPhone Air 17 Pro Max and my 16 Pro Max as well to see how they fare up and see if the vapor chamber makes that much of a difference. See if the iPhone Air with the 19 Pro chip in it does thermal throttle and see how the 16 Pro does as a comparison as well. We've got all three phones here. I'm going to run some benchmarks. Then I got my thermometer and I'm going to take some readings to see if we can get the iPhone Air to thermal throttle, if it heats up. I remember 15 Pro a few years ago actually had a thermal problem where with an update, I think it fixed it. I got up to 47 degrees. So let's see if we can beat that with the iPhone Air. Let's hop into it and let's see what we have in store. Hopping into the thermal test here, guys. I do have a thermometer gun here to take the readings of the temperatures of each phone. First of all, we've got the iPhone Air on my left here. Then we have the 17 Pro Max. And then we have the 16 Pro Max. And I really want to get an idea of thermal on all phones. So the 16 Pro Max does get hot, but I think that's just usual. 17 Pro Max has the vapor chamber. I want to see if that makes any difference. And the iPhone Air does have the new A19 Pro, same chip as the iPhone 17 Pro Max as well. I think there's one GPU core less or CPU cores. I can't remember exactly. But because of the design of it, I think it will get thermal throttle, but that's exactly what I want to test out. So right now, each phone, if I take a reading, this is at 18.7, 17.9, and then 23.6. So they are the temperatures right now. We're going to start with something like Geekbench first on all phones to see if I can get them to get hot. So let's start with the CPU on everything. I'm going to run the test, come back to you once it's done. I don't really care about the scores at the present moment. It's just more about the heat and see how hot the phones do get. So let's go CPU on all of them. All right, I'll come back to you guys once it's done. Alrighty, the phones have just finished. All right, they're starting to get a bit warm. The air is getting warm, and so is the 16 Pro Max. There are the scores. Very, very good scores. A lot higher now than when I did my actual speed test on this phone. So obviously, I don't know why it is a lot higher. This is at 22, 23. This is at 21. And then that is at 25. So this 16 Pro Max is still hotter. All right, we're going to run 3D Mark now. And that is very intensive. That is very intensive. So if we do, I think it is Wildlife Extreme Test. Let's do the Wildlife Extreme Test. Let's start on these. This is about a 20-minute test, and this will really start to stress the phones out, and this will show if there is any heating issues. So let's start this now on all devices. Alrighty, guys, we're about halfway through the test at the moment. iPhone Air doesn't feel that hot, to be honest with you, and I'm getting a temperature reading of 33 on and near, I think, where the processor is, closer to 35. 33, 35, yeah, 35.1. So that's on the right-hand side where the processor is. Whereas this, because it's got the vapor chamber cooling, that says at 34 on one side. On the other side, 34. Down below, 31. It's a lot more spread out, the heat. So it is about 34, I reckon, on average, around across the whole phone. And then the 16 Pro Max, let's have a look at that one. Again, the processor's up here. That's at 39, 40 degrees. Okay. So that's at 40 degrees. And again, yeah, definitely warming up. I'm just trying to compare it to the iPhone Air. Guys, I actually got out of the test by accident, but that's all right. Yeah, so it's about 34. All right, we'll come back to you guys once these are all completed. Alrighty, guys, the results are finished for this. This has already gone to 11 out of 20, and it's already done another 10 from before. So I'm going to call that as well there. Let's cancel the test just to get the heat. All right, let's see how hot this has gotten. 37, 39, 37. It's bouncing between, yeah. All right, it's about 38 degrees. It says 36.9 there, but it was definitely around 38. The 17 Pro Max, 37, 38. All right, that's not really bouncing around as much as everything else. And then the 16 Pro Max, which has definitely got the hottest, that's currently at 39.6. which is really hot. If you guys do remember, the 15 Pro Max charging problem got to 47 when it was overheating while charging. Let's go to Antutu as well. We're going to do a test on this as well, and I'll come back to you guys halfway through to get another reading. Alrighty guys, we're almost halfway through now. Just taking a quick reading. Yeah, the air's on about 39 to 40 degrees. The 17 Pro Max is at about 37 to 38, and it is a lot more spread out throughout the phone, so it's not as patchy. With the iPhone Air and the 16 Pro Max, it is definitely in the one area because there's no vapor chamber cooling, so it is definitely getting a lot more hot. And then the 16 Pro Max is at about 42.5, bouncing up to 44 that I checked before. So it is definitely running hotter than the other two phones. And I'm pretty surprised with the iPhone Air that it isn't running as hot as what I thought it would be, especially with these intense tasks. So I'll come back to you guys once we have wrapped up this test. Alrighty, test is now done on all phones. Heat is our main concern here. 37, so again, nothing too big on the on the Air. I keep saying 17 Air, it's just called the Air. So that's our 37. Again, the 17 Pro Max, about 37, 36 and a half. And then finally the 16 Pro Max, which this is just getting way too hot. That's gone down to 39 now. So it was definitely up to 45 before, 44.8. I think the highest I got to. So they definitely do cool down as soon as they're done with a load. I'm going to go back to Geekbench. Let's run another test. Let's do a GPU this time. All right, here are the scores from the GPU test, 38,000, 46, and 31. And let's get, again, another reading. The temperature's starting to drop, so these tasks obviously aren't as intensive as before. It's down to 35 for the 17 Air. I'm going to keep calling it that. And this is hovering about the same, but 35. And then the 16 Pro Max at 37. So still running a bit hotter, but definitely dropping in heat. All right, next thing, I'm going to plug them in to my fast charger, and then I'm going to get, 10 minutes on each phone and see how much the temperature can go up. So I'm going to first plug in the Air. Let's plug that in to my fast charger. Let's get that charging. I'll give it 10 minutes, and then once it's done, I'm going to check another temperature reading. Alrighty guys, it's been about 10 minutes now that the phone has been charging, and I've checked it throughout the test, and it's just definitely not getting hot. So it is only at about 33 degrees anywhere I look. Yeah, it's 33.2 right here. 33, 32.6. It's definitely not getting hot like the 15 Pro Max did that time. I'm just going to put it onto the 17 Pro Max. I can't really see the Air getting hot and overheating. So it's definitely not as bad as what I would have thought. I thought because of the ultra thin design it's going to be even worse, but it's definitely not. So let's try the 17 Pro Max. All right, guys, it's been about 10 minutes now that the 17 Pro Max has been charging. And let's take a temperature reading. I've got a temperature of about 35, 34.2. It just, 34, 34.5. So definitely, I think a little bit warmer than the 17 Air that was at about 33. So the iPhone Air definitely not as hot when charging for whatever reason. These 10 minutes of charging in each phone definitely didn't get as hot. So we're going to do another 10 more minutes with the 16 Pro Max just for a benchmark. And then, that is pretty much the end of this test. Alrighty guys, again, it's been about 10 minutes that the 16 Pro Max has been charging. Let's check how hot this has gotten. Yeah, that's definitely hotter, 37 degrees. So the 16 Pro Max is definitely running at a hotter temperature than the iPhone Air and the 17 Pro Max. This was about, I think, 34, 35, and this was about 33 to 34. So definitely a much hotter phone when running more intensive games and apps and doing any benchmarks. But just general use, there hasn't been too much of a difference between the three phones. I haven't felt a problem. The Air, definitely haven't noticed anything yet. I don't know. I've been using this for a couple of days now, and it's definitely not as bad as what I thought with thermal throttling. So I haven't done any exporting or anything like that. But in those intensive 3D Mark and Antutu benchmark Geekbench results, nothing really shocked me with this phone in terms of the heat of the phone getting too unbearable, which, yeah, I think it up to 40. And obviously 16 Pro Max got up to 45, and this is about 38. So nothing too shocking, I don't think. So if you guys have any other ideas for a test like this, let me know and I can make another video. Thank you for watching the thermal test between the iPhone Air 17 Pro Max and 16 Pro Max. If you haven't seen my other videos, check them out on screen here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.